Hello CNC students, Mr. Carverly back again. Today we're going to talk about some precision measurement and primarily about our drop indicator and our gauge blocks. So we're going to use this print. This is a NIMS print for the vertical milling operation. This is a pretty complicated part for a vertical mill, and the dimensions that we're going to worry about today are listed right here at 1 inch 375, the 1 inch 125, and at 750. And on our part, those dimensions are actually from this back face of this part to the top of the part here. That'll be the first one that we measure. And that's listed on our print as 1 inch 375. If I go down to my tolerance block, the bottom, I see that that is a plus or minus 5 thousandths tolerance. So that means that this part must be between 1 inch 370 and 1 inches 380 thousandths. So what's a good way to do that? Well, we're going to use a drop indicator, and we're going to set up our drop indicator with our gauge blocks. So these are our gauge blocks here. They come standard in an 81 piece set. The really cool thing about these gauge blocks is you can really make any size up to 4 decimal places between about 100 thousandths and 8 or 9 inches. So really versatile and useful thing to do. These are precision ground and polished blocks. They're certified to their size, and you'll see a whole bunch of different sizes here. And the way we get odd sizes is we're going to stack blocks on top of each other. So for my print, I need a 1 inch 375 gauge block setup. So I'm going to grab my 1 inch block right here. I'm also going to grab my 250 thousandths thick block, and I'm also going to grab my 125 thousandths block, which is this block right here. So if I add those together, 1 inch plus 250 thousandths plus 125 thousandths, that'll equal 1 inch 375. So I like to take my gauge block. It's really important that there's no grit or film or even fingerprints on these blocks, because it will alter the size and it'll stop the blocks from sticking together. So I like to take my blocks and I'm just going to rub them on a piece of white paper. I'm really being careful not to put my fingers or fingertips on top of those blocks. So there's my 1 inch block. Here's my 250 thousandths block. I'm going to do both sides, and then I'm going to what's called ringing these blocks together, which is slightly just rubbing them together and letting them create a vacuum seal, so they really seal on each other. And then this is my 125 block, and I'm going to add that right to the top of this block. So now together I have a precision. What I want to do is I want to take my drop indicator. This one happens to have its own little granite base in a stand. It has a 0 to 1 inch drop indicator on it. It's got 1 inch of total travel. And the way these work is you lightly pull up on this stem up top, and then when you let it go, it'll fall back into place on top of our blocks. So I'm going to gently lift up this drop indicator, and I'm going to set it right on top of my blocks. So you'll notice on the front of our indicator we have a dial. And this dial is actually adjustable, so I don't really care where my needle is right now. I'm just going to leave it there, and I am going to rotate this face, and I'm going to line that needle up right on the 0 of that indicator face. So right now this indicator from this granite plate to the bottom of my indicator needle is exactly 1 inch 375. So that's my known size. And what we're trying to do is measure from a known size to an unknown size. And our unknown size is always going to be our part, right? So I know that's 1 inch 375. So I'm going to just gently lift up on this drop indicator. I'm going to move my blocks to the side, and I'm going to set my part right underneath there and drop down my indicator. And this part's showing pretty far off. I'm going to double check my numbers here real fast. Okay, that's right at 0, so that's good. and this part's actually measured almost 20 thousandths undersized. The way I know that is my indicator went past 0 and down and dropped 20 thousandths past 0. So that means my part from the 1" 375 to here is 20 thousandths shorter. That makes it 1" 355. So my part is not in print at this time. So this is not a good part. And I knew that before we started. This was a sample part we made, and we missed the dimension. So now we know we have a good way to measure. And we may want to measure both sides of this part just to see if maybe that's a parallel problem. And it's really not. The part looks very parallel. It's measuring the same on both sides, but it's too short. So this is not an acceptable part. So that's one way to use a drop indicator. There's a lot of good uses for it. This is one of just many. We can set this up to be anywhere. This indicator is all adjustable on this stem right here. So a lot of good ways to use it. So keep making chips, keep working hard. Thank you.